Wow, a 6x increase in YouTube subscribers and a viral episode on Spotify, all thanks to Jellypod, the AI podcast studio. Listen to the full conversation with me and Dr. Rafai as we talk about his awesome story. Hi, everybody. Today we have Dr. Rafai with us. Hi, Doctor. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me talk about this exciting software, Jellypod for podcasting. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. And I guess as we get started, could you tell me a little bit more about yourself?
Sure. So I am a physician. I am a practicing psychiatrist and internist. I am in Pennsylvania. I've always been somebody who was interested in writing. So my early career, I was at the National Institute of Mental Health. I wrote a lot of scientific articles. I wrote a lot of articles to the general public to inform them about psychiatric illness. And I've always been on the forefront in terms of adapting and adopting new technology. So telehealth, telemedicine, telepsychiatry. I'd done that in 2006 when it wasn't sexy,
Wow.
when nobody did it, when people just didn't think that you could talk to somebody through TV. Basically, we developed that between 2006 and when COVID hit. Basically, I became the go-to person to educate my colleague physicians because I've been doing it for almost 14, 15 years at that time, and nobody knew what to do, how to manage telehealth, telemedicine, telepsychiatry. So I was interviewed by TV stations. I was just thrust into the limelight, into interviews, into TV interviews, and actually because it was COVID, so I did a lot of interviews this way, basically by Zoom and by video, and that was quite interesting. And so since then, I've been kind of just into this, and I started looking into podcasting because I saw a lot of people were doing podcasts, and I actually was basically the guest on multiple podcasts, and then I said, well, I could do this. I'm a psychiatrist. I talk to people all the time. Why can't I do this? And so I looked at the different options. A lot of them were actually very expensive. You would get these companies that would approach you and say, yes, we will get you. We will get you we will get you guests. We will book everything for you. We will do everything. And it's going to cost you that many $1,000s to sign up with them. And basically they'll manage everything and they'll publish everything. And, I was just like, I don't think I have that budget to spend that much. And then basically the podcasting through the LLM came out, and then I started getting interested into that. And then somebody mentioned Jellypod, and I signed up. It was when it was a beta, actually. So I'm one of the beta testers. And I think you didn't go live until I had like 5 or 6 podcasts out, and was very interesting. I think I kind of learned through it. Spotify, I was on Spotify. That was easy. And then we tried Apple Podcasts. That took a little bit. And then it's on my YouTube channel. Also, I have a YouTube channel, and the name of my podcast is The Virtual Psychiatrist.
Amazing. The virtual psychiatrist. Yeah, I totally remember those days. I mean, just hearing you talk about it. I mean, so much time has gone by, but I remember being on support with you, specifically around Apple Podcasts and the image scaling.
Yes.
To give everyone a piece of the, a glimpse behind the curtain.
Yes.
Dr. Rafai was critical in making the Apple integration and accelerating that work and getting it, to be 100%. So all of you folks with Apple Podcasts, know that Dr. Rafai had a big hand in that.
Thank you very much.
Cool. So you have a podcast, or you were like, why can't I do this? You set out to start a podcast. What's your end goal?
I think number one is to talk to the public. The public is one of the goals of this podcast. So I talk about pertinent topics on psychiatric issues. So, for example, I have a podcast about attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD. That's a very hot topic in psychiatric issues. And I didn't know, but it was like a hit on Spotify. It's like, oh my God, how many times people downloaded that? And it's only 17, 18 minutes. And I have the guest that I had was actually the persona of my office manager. And she has kids who have ADHD, and she has family members who have ADHD, and she just talks about, she recorded her voice, she cloned her voice for me, and we had her there, and Teresa, and she just went at it. And it's quite interesting how she wrote a little bit of an essay that we fed to the AI for the AI to understand the perspective of a patient who has ADHD. And then I wrote a couple of articles about ADHD from different blogs. The Kevin MD blog. We wrote an article on Medscape. So we fed that to the AI, and then a lot of other kind of general information that's available to the public. And oh boy, it came out with a very wonderful podcast that is just like a hot potato on Spotify. People download it and listen to it so many times, and so that's quite interesting.
That's so cool. That's awesome. You're one of the earliest, one of the earliest adopters. So I'm so happy to hear that it's growing on Spotify. That's great to hear. We hope to add analytics into the Jellypod soon, but I love that you're getting this out of your Spotify integration. So
Sure.
Amazing. Why was this project, before like now it's exciting and you're educating the public and you're being rewarded for it, through engagement.
Yes.
Prior to all of this, why was it so important for you to educate the public on ADHD or anything for that matter?
I basically, I was at the National Institute of Mental Health. I was in the United States Public Health Service. So my interest was to tell people about different psychiatric topics. And I am the president of my local chapter of the American Psychiatric Association. So just educating patients about things that we see on a regular basis, on a daily basis. And this podcast is also directed at my colleagues. And sometimes I post some of those when I'm having a discussion with other colleagues on LinkedIn or other social media or Doximity. And I say, listen, I did this podcast. If you think that I misspoke here or there's something that's not right, come back at me and just tell me, oh, this is not supported by literature. This is not supported by this, or you have an argument against it, because basically we're here to learn. And so nothing's set in stone. The other thing that I really find is the ease of being able to publish a podcast, basically. So if there's a hot issue, I could whip up a podcast in a couple of hours, and high quality podcast that will come out there. If there's an issue, I have a podcast, for example. I am a former employee of the United States Public Health Service, and I worked at the Department of Health and Human Services. And it's a hot topic now. For example, the reduction in the number of employees at HHS with Secretary Kennedy, and it would be very interesting just to people to hear, like, I'm a former employee. I think he's doing the right thing, and just broadcast that opinion. It's scientific, it's personal, combination of both, but it's interesting to come up with that opinion very quickly. For example, I did a podcast with another physician on litigation, and I did the podcast last month, and she said it's not going to come out for another month. I was like, come on. I was like I thought it was just, you're going to turn it around and it's going to be published in 2 hours. It's like, no, my company takes a long time. Here, Jellypod, you push, publish, it's out.
Incredible. Obviously, thank you so much as a member of the public for, trying to educate us. This might be a tough question, but was there a moment, early on, like something that clicked where you're like, I need to do this? Or was it just something that's kind of sort of always been lingering and you just got around to it?
No, I think a few interviews that I did with the Kevin MD blog and Kevin MD, he has a podcast. Dr. Kevin Foe, he's also still practicing, and he has a blog, and he basically says, well, you know, you're almost like a weekly guest on. So I have podcasts with him, and he is good because he turns them around pretty quickly. So he has a machine that works. It's still slower than Jellypod, but he turns them around pretty quickly. And I think that was the moment when I saw his wit, his questions. He's very intelligent. He just kind of gives you these questions from outfield, and it's like, oh my God, it's like he read everything I wrote, and he's just very interesting questions. And I experienced that with Jellypod because the information that it brings from the material that I feed it. And it's very interesting, kind of just these questions that it comes up with, and observations, and basically it plays the persona of the guest. And I don't know about you behind the scenes, whether when you clone a guest, whether it actually goes into the internet and figures out other interviews of the guest, or what have they done, because it gets into the personality of that guest, even though I only received a 2 or 3 minute conversation or reading from that guest, but it just gets the personality of the guest. I had a guest who's a dentist and a pharmacist, and he has like some very witty lines, and my first name is Muhammad Ali, and he's like, they messed with the wrong Muhammad Ali. And so but the AI got it. The AI got it pretty well. And then he has a blog called You Are Within the Norms. His name is Norman Clement. He's a dentist and a pharmacist. And he always ends his conversations with like, you are within the norms. And the AI got it with like his tone exactly. So how did the AI get it? Whether it went to his other interviews, because he has other interviews and blogs and podcasts, I don't know. But you are in the behind the scenes. I don't know if that is happening.
Very cool. No, behind the scenes, we're not feeding anything based. It's either coming from the backstory or it's coming from the training set of the core AI model.
Okay. But you don't think the AI is sneaking into the World Wide Web and researching the
no.
the
I think it might have already learned it or something. But how cool! I mean, we have this thing called web search that you could add in. So you could, like, with every guest, you could add in web search, and you could put in their name, and it would go out and find all the information about them.
Yes.
To
this
really
was
prompt.
before web search. So the some of these episodes were before web search. It's like knew everything about the guest.
Fascinating. Even the AI surprises us.
Yes.
It's truly incredible what it can do. This conversation is just like filled with surprises for me. So that's awesome. I think right before we started recording this call, you mentioned you had been like, there were some options you were considering with podcasting, right?
Yes.
What were some of those options? What were some of those drawbacks between those?
I mean, I researched it, and you know, there's a lot of services out there that would tell you, yes, we can manage your podcast for you. We'll record everything. We'll do everything. We'll do the guests. We'll do everything. And it's like for thousands and thousands of dollars. And it's like, well, you know, I'm just a doctor in private practice. I don't think I have the budget for that, but I want to maybe publish a podcast every week. What are my options? I don't want an expensive software. I don't want anything that is not going to be amenable to my practice. And so basically that's where I came up with Jellypod. So the cost analysis is basically Jellypod all the way. It's not even questionable. And even if you get the higher end of the Jellypod package, it's definitely worth it. It's definitely worth it. And you have more control at what is being done in terms of the conversation. And it's being refined all the time. And it's as if like there's a channeling of information, or there's a channel of like, okay, I'm thinking, well, why can't they do an intro and outro music? And then like the next week it came out. And so, and you don't need to have expensive music. I found out that on YouTube, if you have an account, you can actually get unlicensed intro and outro music for free. And I think I have like 50 clips of like 25 to 30 seconds of intro and outro music that I use on my podcast. So if you know exactly what you want, you can get podcasting very, very quickly. And I know you have a free option in no time.
Yeah, very cool. And just as a fun fact, this just came out over the last week. We have yet to really announce it publicly, but now you can also add audio inside of the conversation. So you can you can drag and drop if you want to add like a music break, or you want to add some other recording. Maybe you recorded something else from a different conversation. You're able to just,
okay, all
you
right.
can just drag and drop them in.
I'm excited about that. So you can say, well, here I talk to this other podcast about this, and here's a snippet. Here's like a 30 seconds or 1 minute snippet of a voice podcast. All right, I'm excited.
Exactly. Just drag it and drop it. Just drag it and drop it from your file, and right where you want it between any speech block, and it'll automatically normalize and get put into the flow. So
perfect.
Little Easter egg.
There you go.
So I guess it sounds like your earliest podcasts are off to a great start. Were there any outcomes that you were hoping for, like any metrics that you were like, "This is what I'm shooting for," or anything like that?
I think that I want more listeners on my podcast, and I think I talked to you about Spotify, that episode where I published about attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and basically that podcast exploded. I mean, basically it was downloaded so many times because people were hungry for information from a practicing psychiatrist about ADHD, and people just saw that it was really valid, and so I was very excited that people listened to it. The persona that my guest was actually my secretary, Teresa, and we cloned her voice, and we were able to have her tell the story about her relatives who have ADHD and how she has problems with obtaining their medications because she has to go to different pharmacies and things like that. So that was a very interesting episode.
Yeah, sounds like it. I think I can't remember if I've given it a listen because there's just so many podcasts, but when they come through and support, I do my best. So thank you so much for sharing that. It sounds like you use the guest clone feature a lot. Can you tell us a little bit more about? It sounds like you're inviting a lot of guests onto your shows using the functionality. How's that going for you?
Very good. So basically, I asked them to give me a recording, basically, and sometimes we have to refine it because sometimes people will speak in a monotone voice, and so there's no emotions in it, and sometimes people it's filled with emotions, and it's the one that voice is filled with emotion is one of my guests, Norm Clement. I mean, his voice is wonderful. I mean, his voice is like close to maybe Denzel Washington, kind of doing a podcast. But sometimes, so what I do is they send me that voice, and sometimes what I do is I only have like the middle of the way package, so I only get 2 clones. So basically, sometimes I erase the clone and introduce another clone. And then when I'm done with it, I still have the voice model. So sometimes it's quite interesting that it learns. So actually, the second clone is better than the first clone. So when I bring him back, so Norm Clement, his first clone, he had a performance on the episode, and then I erased it and brought in Teresa, who's my secretary, and then I erased Teresa and brought in Norm Clement. And it was much better. So the AI is learning in kind of when we do that.
Very cool. So the same audio samples.
Same audio sample, but it became much better.
Interesting. That's a good shout out for all the users out there. Oftentimes the advice we give is to use a different set of information, right? If you don't like your clone, it's not emotional enough, re-record with something new. But it sounds like in your case, just trying again and basically giving the model a second chance helped a lot.
Sure, yeah, and that was, and I did that actually with my own voice clone, and so I bought this newer microphone, and it's just a little secret, and then the recording was actually much better. Even though I used the microphone for the initial clone, the recording of my voice actually is much more natural. So you could see that there's episodes where things are a little bit better. The later on episodes are a little bit better. Still haven't been able to. We had an episode about HIPAA, the Health Information Portability and Accountability Act. I still haven't been able to get it to pronounce HIPAA the right way. So I don't know. Maybe an option of introducing basically your own sound, pronouncing it, and see if the AI could learn how to say HIPAA.
Have you used the pronunciation guide?
I did. I could never get it to do it the right way. HIPAA. It's like never got it the right way.
Totally. Yeah. No, it's funny. I had never, used my mind in so many ways to try and mix up like phonetic spelling.
Yes.
I was recently helping with somebody who needed the word purse pronounced like purse, but it was spelled like Pierce. So we had to like come up with how do you make sure that it's phonetically saying purse for a word that's spelled like Pierce.
Yes.
And basically what we ended up doing was you spelled purse in a bunch of different ways, PURSS or PERSEH or whatever, just to find the right phonetic spelling that got it to have the right inflection, because it's a name and not a common noun. So it's fun. It's fun getting these unique words kind of said exactly the way you want them. Did you the recent partial regen feature is also probably helpful in the sense that you can just isolate.
So I may
word.
actually go back to that HIPAA episode and see if I can regenerate that HIPAA conversation and see if it'll do it right.
Sweet. Yeah, we hope that this feature plus pronunciation guide, we just really want to help people be able to zone in on a word or in a sentence on an inflection and just very quickly get it to just the way they want it.
But you are on the frontiers. Nobody's doing this work, so you're doing a great job.
Thank you. My question to you is, if you could just walk through how exactly Jellypod helps you accomplish your podcast, like just from start to finish, like your overall workflow.
Sure. So what I do is I basically have an idea in my mind. Okay, I am doing this. I jot some ideas in my mind. Okay, what am I doing? And then put that outline in writing, and then basically collect supporting material, whether and it's very interesting how the AI is able to read dense scientific articles and kind of synthesize those into specifically my topic, which is psychiatry. It's able to read those articles and come up with something that is very helpful for the public. For example, with ADHD, as well as kind of some of my outlines. And then so I jot some of the outline of the podcast. I develop the supportive material. I collect it. It may take me maybe half an hour, 45 minutes to come up with articles, as well as things that I wrote about also. So sometimes I refer to my own blogs. And then basically I put it together into the start episode Jellypod. I think 5 references is usually enough with an outline from me, and just generate episode, and it gives you an outline. It gives you basically an outline of different sections of the podcast, and most of the time I add sections. So most of the time it comes up with a podcast of about 12 to 15 minutes. Most of the time I add additional sections that brings it up to 15 to 20 minutes. And then once I'm happy with it, I just have it generate the conversation. And a lot of time I basically add to the conversation and just go into the nitty gritty of the conversation. That takes me maybe another half an hour. And then just generate the podcast. And I make it always that I listen to the podcast. I have to listen to the podcast from second one to the end of the podcast, because I want to make sure that the product that comes out is something that I'm happy with. Sometimes I regenerate it. Sometimes I just publish it the way it is. I add the intro and outro music, and then click one button, and it's gone to out there. And the whole process takes me about an hour and a half. And so sometimes basically I produce 2 or 3 podcasts over the weekend, and I'm ready.
Very cool. Yeah, I think our promise is so often stated as being able to make a podcast in minutes, but really I think what talking to you really showcases is that it gets the technical parts of podcasting into minutes.
Yes.
The parts that aren't important, the
Yes.
parts that take some people a month.
Yes.
And it lets you put in 30 minutes to an hour into like just quality content.
Yes.
And
yes.
in another world, you might have to, sit down and record something for 30 minutes to an hour, but it's sort of said not perfectly the way you want it.
Yes.
And it's like anybody, we're all human. We can't pull out just super relevant details on the spot from literature, from past experiences, from blogs, our own thoughts. So I love just, hearing that you're putting in a lot of effort, but the effort is, one effort in is putting out quality out. You're not wasted. There's no wasted effort, I guess.
Absolutely. There's no wasted effort in editing the conversation, in kind of just getting things set up and kind of publishing it and things like that. It's all, my whole focus is on the material, is how to give you top-notch material. In my field, for example, psychiatry, how to give the public, how to give other physicians that I sent this podcast to top-notch material that is going to help them in their practice, and that is going to help my patients in understanding some of these issues. So the whole focus is just on the information, on the content of the podcast, and the technical issues, you handle it from A to Z flawlessly.
Thank you. Were there any unexpected benefits? I know you mentioned some fun bits about the clones and the going out and doing research. Are there any other unexpected benefits from that flow that you just described?
Business opportunities, being invited to other podcasts to talk. So I once I started doing that, people started inviting me. So like I told you, I was like, I'm doing a couple of podcasts today, and then this is my day where I'm not practicing, where I'm not seeing patients, but basically you start being noticed out there, and people invite you. It's like, oh yeah, this guy talks very well. Maybe we should invite him to our podcast and have a conversation with him. So you start getting invited to other podcasts, which is very interesting. And then you get downloads from people to get known. And I don't know. I since I started doing the podcast, for example, I have a YouTube channel, The Virtual Psychiatrist. I used to have I think 150, 200 followers. It's 1,000 now since I started doing your Jellypod podcasting, and it's growing. It's like, oh, so and so is just a follower on your YouTube channel. So I'm hopefully it will grow more and more. So 5 times more followers on your YouTube channel. I think that's pretty good metric.
That is an incredible metric. You're here to hear first, folks. If you want to 5x your YouTube channel, start podcasting with Jellypod. And I love the unforeseen benefit of, if you want to get invited on more podcasts, kind of show the world what you're about. Start a podcast if you want to get invited on podcasts. So how cool. My last question to you, this is what we always ask to kind of wrap it up. If you were to describe Jellypod to a friend or colleague in a single sentence, what would it be?
The Uber podcasting software where podcasting is simplified and easy to do.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Doctor. Really appreciate you finding time to chat with me today. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you for having me.